registrar token. Now that's important. If there was synergy between the two of them, you can't work, college can't work, institute can't work. You have to be sick with each other. Luckily for you, not. Dr. Archana Namatiji, distinguished members of the faculty, and I'm grateful to them because the body language of the students indicates they are getting best of education, and therefore grateful to all of you. Of course, nothing succeeds in an institute without support of the staff members. I think from the time I stepped, they are very cordial and compassionate to them. And most important, why I am here? I am here because of all of you. It is a rare moment in my life where all my calculations have gone wrong. All calculations have gone wrong. My wife, Dr. Sudesh, has accompanied me, but she has gone to an Anabadi. So I thought I have full freedom. But I have to contend with High Speaker Anurag Thakur and the Honorable Governor, who has been very kind to me, but is enormously talented, a man of great experience. He has seen both state legislature and parliament. He has understood. The Honorable Thakurji has covered the entire landscape. Now, dear students, imagine the Herculean task I have before me. Anurag Thakur has performed excellently as he does in parliament, so in the field of sports. But here also, constitutional endorsement of his capacity. What do I to say? So I remembered a ghazal I am very fond of. And as husband of Dr. Sudesh Dhankad, I get it note down. I will write it down. I will make most of sense. तो गजल कहती है, इतने हिस्सों में बट गया कि मेरे हिस्से में बच जाएगी. Let me tell you, boys and girls, पहले कहते थे वो बातें, heavens are falling, they have never fallen. Historically, heavens have never fallen. We have always been in fear of it. So get this fear out of your mind. Heavens will not fail, ever fail, they will never fall. This is my assurance and insurance. Keep it in mind. So no tension, no stress on that count. Second, we say sky is the limit. The Prime Minister said, the minor sky is not the limit now. We have gone beyond the sky. And today it's still a great day. Our Aryan has delivered the most critical phase of the sun. I have been extremely impressed by the motto of your institute. It was substitute for hard work. But then you have a challenge coming, artificial intelligence. And therefore I will be addressing on some of the issues which normally I cannot address elsewhere. I am fully alive to the situation that I am before minds who are discerning, able, competent, and are at a level to use technology, which we call disruptive technologies. And unless we cope with them, control them, regulate them, they will control us. My experience of having been a married for 45 years, make sure before others control you, give up your control. This message you can remember all your life and you will never regret. Normally as a senior educator, I have never been given an interview without charging my fee. It was free. I have made a rare exception to give you this advice free of cost. Well, before I really come serious business, doesn't mean the first one was not serious, that it was serious. I would request the director and Sri Anurag Thakurji, I will invite the students of this prestigious institute to be my guests at Parliament, visit new Parliament building, Bharat Mandapam, Yashobhumi, Prime Minister's Museum, and whatever else Anurag Thakur suggested. The Honorable Minister is very competent to take care of everything, but since the invite is from us, your stay will arranged by Parliament. We will take care of the rest. You just be available to test your MP for a change for me. Boys and girls, Bismarck used to say, let the winds of change blow. Germans are still talented people, but they will be getting a major setback in 2030. The setback will be that Bharat would have overtaken their economy and will be the third largest economy. But notwithstanding that, Germans say something in particular. We have to follow them in different situations. Therefore, I would urge you that we must look beyond our barriers. We must look beyond our geographical boundaries. And that is why the German Bismarck said, let the winds of change blow all over. From that perspective, being chairman of the Indian Council of World Affairs, I would catalyze a memorandum of understanding between this institute and Indian Council of World Affairs in next 1 month. In Sapur House, it's a very prestigious institute. These are the two things. And the third, when you will visit Parliament, I'll have the occasion to share with you. This subject, role of youth in Viksit Bharat 2047, and the locale, they will do mainland of votes. So we are in a perfect setting to best attend to this. I am for whom? I am for foot soldiers who will play a critical role in realizing our dreams. They will ensure what Bharat will be, in what shape it will be, when it attains centenary of its independence in 2047. I am a product of education. I come from a village. I have faced all kinds of hardships. But for scholarship, I may not have gone beyond my village. And therefore, I have no difficulty in asserting before you. Education is the most important, impactful, transformative mechanism. Education brings about equality as no other organ can do it, no other methodology can do it. Education cuts into inequities that are very painful to us. And therefore, you are lucky to be getting in Bharat 1/6 of humanity resides in this country. The best of education. Make the most of it. Don't miss the opportunity. My young friends, when I say so with full sense of responsibility, you are architects of Bharat today. There are no more concerned stakeholders in governance than you. People of my age will not be there to see what Bharat will be at 2047. But I have no doubt, each one of you boys and girls will take Bharat to 2047. And for that I will come in a moment why things are very convenient for you. Honorable Governor, during his brief address, made a very significant contribution. Very important aspect. That when it comes to demographic advantage, India is possessed of it. It is possessed of it to the extent that 65% of our population is under 35. Now, when we have prospects because of demographic dividend, look at the history. The countries that had We are in Amrit Kal. Thanks to the visionary leadership of the Prime Minister, we could have this word, Amrit Kal. And we all came conscious that we are a civilization of 5,000 years old. Look at our ethos. And that being the situation, series of decisions were taken that made our Amrit Kal as our Gaurav Kal. As a young mind, let me tell you, you must have burning desire to make the difference. You must have insatiable thirst for knowledge. And trust me, your learning doesn't end with your degree. Your learning has to be throughout. Even in a river, when you stand, those who are involved with physics know it. If you don't have Kadam Tal, the sand under you will go and you will fall down. So to be at the same place also you have to learn, and to go ahead, you have to learn all the more. You need to collaborate, weave diverse considerations so that you are on a path which is positive. Let me tell you now, where are we? I'll go historically. We had a glorious past. Go to 5,000 years, not many countries can claim to have civilizational depth of even 500 years. I'm making reference to some of the most developed and including the most developed. Not 500 years, 5,000 years. There is no wisdom which the world can point to today which is not repository in our Vedas and Upanishads. So we are an ancient civilization. We had a flourishing trade. We were controlling the world, and we were known as Sone ki Chidiya. Then we suffered. I'll come to this century now. Skip rest of it for paucity of time because we need to monetize every second of it. Am I sure? Let me reflect briefly and divert. I don't mean offense to anyone. And I greatly love the Bania community. In legal profession, I was called a Bania all through. Mr. Sunil Gupta, alumnus of IIT Kanpur, 1987 batch, in a service. But my apologies to him because he comes from that community. जब बनिए से पूछते हो और जिसका बेटा आईसीयू के अंदर दिक्कत में है, उससे पूछते हो कि बच्चे का क्या हाल है, तो वो कहता है 2 पैसे सुधार है. You may point. From that perspective, you have to keep the 2 paisa means your national interest. Never compromise that. ये कौन सा देश था? सोने की चिड़िया. You know the सोने की चिड़िया, and rightly so. I had the good fortune to be elected to Lok Sabha in 1989. And Anurag Singh Thakur's father, a very illustrious man, a guiding figure to me. I have come to Himachal Pradesh only at his invite. It is only coincidence that this invite is by his son. We suffered at that point of time. That gold of this country was airlifted physically to be placed to 2 banks in Switzerland so that we could sustain our financial viability and credibility. I was a minister then. A junior one, Anurag Thakur is a very senior one. So, where are we now? That time our foreign exchange was fluctuating between 1 billion and 2 billion. And now it is over 6 billion. And there have been weeks where the jump has been 4-5 billion. There's a big change that has come. Just look, you are youngsters, but you can reflect and know from others also. In the early part of the century, we had separate scams of unimaginable dimension in this country. They played the economy of this country. They ravaged the ecosystem of this country. Corruption was in full play. I had the occasion when phone banking expression was used in Parliament, Rajya Sabha, by the Finance Minister, enormously talented Srimati Nirmala Saravanan. She used the word phone banking. मैंने कहा, Honorable Minister, I know the lexical meaning of phone banking. can you tell me what is meant by phone banking? She said, phone banking was that somebody would pick up a phone and can give 300 crores to this man, 3,000 crores to this man, without sense of accountability or transparency. With the result, the nation suffered NPS. So we had that kind of regime. And then it had an overall impact on the economy. And in 2012, 2013, our economy was labeled in the world as being fragile five, which means fragile five. We were a burden on the global economy. Imagine a country home to 1/6 of humanity being burdened with the global economy. And look at where we have come. As rightly indicated by Shri Anurag Thakur in his absolutely fiery speech, which matches that of who's Julius Caesar. And what does the gentleman say? He takes on Brutus, right? He said so. We have traversed such a long distance after overcoming a difficult terrain full of challenges, but all has been brought about. We are already the 5th largest global economy. We are on way to becoming 5 trillion global economy in US dollars. And by 2030, as indicated by the Honorable Minister, Germany and Japan will be behind us in terms of global economy. But then our benchmark is not to be at the top. Our benchmark is to be so much at the top that the second one can't be seen behind us. And that is the challenge we all have in 2047. There was a time when India's voice in the world was just not heard, just ignored. And look at the first address of the Indian Prime Minister at United Nations. He speaks in Hindi. He tells the world, how can this institute function if 1/6 of humanity is not in key driver's seat? And then he used the United Nations to declare to the entire world that yoga, a health mechanism which is salubrious for one and all, which has come to us from ages, was adopted by the world, International Yoga Day, at least 4. The largest number of countries in the world in the shortest time recognized June 21 as the International Yoga Day. On the last International Yoga Day, I was there at the national event at Jabalpur, and the Honorable Prime Minister was there at United Nations premises. Into the word yoga. Not only that, we have gone further. And when it came to G20, of which reference has been made by the Honorable Minister, but at pure level, discerning minds, intellectual minds who want to control all forces and converge them to see that they go in favor of country's growth. I must tell you 4 distinct things of G21. Imagine all world leaders were greeted by the Prime Minister, and look at the backdrop, Konark Sun Temple. They walked through a gallery where they saw India's 5,000 years of civilization growth and ethos. That's one. Second, the initiative taken by the Indian Prime Minister. The European Union was already part of G20, and European nations were those that would rule over us and others. Prime Minister made it a point to have African Union included in G20, which means what an equalizer. A great step taken by. Third, Global South constitutes more than 60% of global GDP, but their voice did not count. Our Prime Minister took a historic initiative, successful initiative, the Voice of Global Voice. Here we had important conferences, and we have now in the world a very stabilizing factor. And fourth, which will matter to all of you, we have a corridor now. That corridor from our land, from our sea and Middle East, which is already there. It will open up vistas of economic opportunities for you. You all have to avail of it. What we have done, don't go back. Just see recently, our constitution was plagued by a provision, Article 370, because the Constitution has called it temporary. But the nation had suffered it as if it was permanent. It was undone.